Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you. Let's wait a little bit for some people to come. Thank you, Maya, Carol. So good to see you all. Raquel, Rachel. Oh, so good to see everyone. Mario. Let's wait for Stefania to come on Instagram. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are live on YouTube already. And just waiting for Stefania to come inside Instagram. We are live on YouTube already. Okay. And just waiting for Stefania to come inside Instagram. Okay, there she is. She's coming. Thank you, Stefania. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
Good. Can you hear us well, everyone?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfect. Oh, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for welcoming me.
I want to introduce briefly Stefania, and she'll tell more about her to us. So Stefania was our exchange student here in Brazil in 2017. She's a mechanical engineer now. At the time she was a student. Now she's doing her PhD at the University, which is one of our partner institutions. And she was born in Venezuela. And I'm curious to learn more about your story, Stefania. The idea of these lives that we are doing now is really to invite our audience to step into the shoes of some of our exchange students, because we work at Brazilian Experience to promote respect for diversity. We do that through cultural exchange, so especially cultural diversity. But it's much broader than that. We need to learn more about all the different challenges that female women face, people from a different background in another country, black people, LGBT. So we are going to do a series of lives with our alumni students to invite our audience to learn more about how they feel. And so Stephanie is the first one. We want to hear more from her about how is it to be a Latina engineer in the US. So Stephanie, welcome again.
And hi everybody.
Oh, David here as well. Thank you, everyone. So tell us a little bit about you, Stefania. When did you move to the US? What's your story?
So before I start, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me well. I don't know if there is some type of echo.
I can hear perfectly. Let's see how the other ones. If you can also just put your thumbs up if you hear well. Sometimes the comments take a little bit to show. So.
Okay, so everyone can hear me well. Okay. So a little bit of my story. I first moved to the US in the fall of 2014 after I graduated from high school. The initial idea or the initial purpose was for me to stay in the US to study English for 1 year. But at the end, I got a lot of opportunities and a lot of opportunities show up for me. So you see me here 6 years later and doing my PhD now. And when I first moved, I had the opportunity as well because my uncle was already living in the US. So that's why I came here. But my family is still in Venezuela. I am from Venezuela, yes.
So your uncle, does he live in Texas, in Lubbock?
Yes, he lives in Houston, Texas. So I was first living with him for 2 years, and then I was doing college years, my first 2 college years over there. And then I transferred to, now I'm still here at Texas Tech University. So yeah, that's how everything happened.
Wow. So how many years since you moved and that you are far from your family?
6 years. I moved
6
into,
years.
yes. Yes,
And do you get the chance to visit them sometimes, or do they visit you? How's it? How's the situation in Venezuela? It's quite challenging, right?
Yes, but I do have the ability to go visit them at least once a year. So that is also good on my side to be able to visit my family and to spend time with them.
Yeah, I see your tia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teresita.
Friend of my mom.
That's nice. And so tell me a little bit more about how your cultural background played a role as you grew up in Venezuela.
So I think more than my cultural background, I think it was my family that played a big role on it. Like I had a great education thanks to them. And since little, I was also very inculcated with a lot of values that really helped me shape myself, my personality, and self-confidence. Do you happen to know the Lewis model of culture? I think that's the name.
Yes.
Yeah, so it separates the culture into 3 sectors or 3 groups. And depending on which country you live. For example, Northern Europe and North America, they follow a very the tasks, they follow them in a sequentially mode. They do one thing at a time. They might separate the social with the professional. They might tend to be job oriented, while in South American countries, Southern Europe, Middle East, Africa, Southern countries, we tend to be a little bit more relationship or people oriented. We like to do several things at a time. We tend to mix social life with professional life. We also do a lot of body language, as you can see now. And yeah. I think based on this culture or in this model, I think that growing up in this country, like in Venezuela, considered a warm culture, it helped me develop my social and soft skills, which nowadays plays a big role in my personal and professional life. Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you always feel empowered as a child, adolescent? Do you have any other brothers and sisters? And how is your family structure?
So yes, I have one brother. He's 4 years younger than me. And yeah, I mean, I always feel empowered as a child because of I was blessed with the education that I have and the family that I had. And also, again, this culture of very welcoming culture. So yeah, since little I have been very empowered as a person and as a woman.
That's good. And when did you decide to be an engineer?
I think all my life I wanted to study engineering, maybe because my mom is also a mechanical engineer. But yes, she is. But maybe I was always good at science, math, physics, chemistry, and I always loved them. I always had this very analytical and structured mindset as well. I was always looking for the answers to the problems. I was always also questioning everything. So I think engineering was the career to take, and mechanical, I chose it because it's very broad. It's not so limited into one thing. And the influence of my mom too.
So there is an influence in the family because your mom is also an engineer.
Yes.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's easier, I think, this way because perhaps your generation as well, women were already like on the market and having their own career and jobs. Like my generation, my mom was one of a few women who had a career. So I think those who have parents around 70 years old, women, it was not that common for them to have a career and have their independence. They were more oriented to family before that. So in your case, because as you are younger and your mom was an engineer, so for her probably was even a bigger thing than it is for you, like to opt for a career that most, mostly is for by men, right? So, and tell me a little bit more. What, like, did you face any struggles when you moved to the US? You moved to the US because for being a Latin girl.
I think I didn't face that many challenges, or I didn't notice them. Maybe because due to the fact that I don't look Latina, which is also very big misconception on how a Latina should look like, at least here in the US. But one of the struggles that I have faced as a woman, as a Latin woman from South America, it might be the perception of us being more body than brain, if I can say it like that. So especially in engineering, I have faced like not being acceptable or not being accepted from this stereotype. Like maybe I wasn't able to do this task, or I wasn't good enough to do this other one. Like let's put her in this other one. Like women should do this, or that misconception and that perception of what we can do. So, for example, in my class assignments or whenever I had projects, nobody or few classmates was able or was open to work with me. But that never like stopped me to be successful. So.
Yes, I would like to ask the audience here on Instagram if they are hearing Stefania well, because sometimes it's cutting for me. I don't know if it's just for me or for the others. If someone can tell us, or let's ask our support here as well.
There is another Rumi. She says that my voice is cutting as well.
Just give us a thumbs up if you can hear. Yeah, Steph, your voice is cutting a little bit. Maybe your connection. I think it's probably due to the connection.
Let me try something else. I will.
It's better now.
It's good now. Either way, I will try to disconnect from here, from Instagram, and connect to my computer to see if the voice is better.
No, but then we have to start again. I think it's okay. Like it's better now.
Okay.
Maybe not try not to move too much. Because when we move the connection, I said it's not bad, but some people here, like some people are commenting that the voice is unstable.
I will try to talk slower, so maybe that makes, maybe you can hear me better if I don't.
Now it's better. For me, it's better. Yeah, let's try. Things of technology. Stefania, is your first live, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah, that's my second live. The first one I was super anxious. This one we meditated before starting because we feel famous and we are just people, right? So, Stefania, and tell me a little bit more like about your friends in the US. So do you have a lot of American friends, or do you mostly have friends with a Latin community? How is it for you?
Hmm, I have, well, that's the beauty also about living in the US. I have friends from every single part of the world, kind of. So I have become very open to all the cultures. I don't have a specific group of friends. I have friends from every single country, like from here, from the US, from yeah, they are saying from Turkey as well, from Latin America, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, like everywhere, from Egypt, Africa. So, especially and also by being in a academic workplace, kind of like because I'm working in a university, that also allows me to be more connected with, yeah, with international students, with more cultures.
It's cutting for me again. So you have to stay still.
Okay, don't know, I don't know.
I don't know if that's the issue, but probably something with the connection. Yeah, see, like Rafa said, Mike is cutting off.
I will put it here. So
Yeah, let's continue to try. But I think if we don't move too much, it's better because
okay,
the connection needs to work more if we move too much. So as Latin, we need to be more still. So tell me, um, and since young, did you receive a support from your family, like your mom as an engineer supported you to choose this career? Do you have doubts about it at any point?
no, I didn't have doubts at any point. Like because my family, I come from an engineering background as well. My uncle and a lot of my uncle from both sides. I am free, right?
It's it's very it's like frozen your image for me.
Am I gone?
Only on Instagram, not on YouTube. On YouTube, it's working well. Yeah, now it's not frozen anymore.
Am I
Let's
back?
continue. Yeah, say something, Stefania, just to test the mic.
Mm, I cannot hear you now.
And now I
Oh,
cannot hear you. Mm,
okay. Let's try
so
this.
someone is suggesting for you to try your phone connection instead of Wi-Fi, Stefania. Stefania, maybe you should be a communication engineer instead. Stefania, can you? I cannot hear you.
Rafa, so
Mm.
I don't know what happened with Instagram.
Is your mic connected?
Should I take because on Instagram doesn't work. So if I just like don't use the mic, can you hear me?
I cannot hear you, Stefania.
Now,
I
can
can.
you hear me?
Yeah, the connection seems that the connection is pretty slow.
Hmm. Now?
Now the image has frozen.
Yeah, it's kind of frozen in Instagram. Should we disconnect and connect again on the live?
Sorry, everyone, for the issues on connection. So I will keep talking as Stefania tries to solve the issue. I would like to tell you that next week we have other 2 lives planned. The first one is gonna be the second one after this. It's gonna be on Tuesday. We are gonna have Joseph. He was an intern here in Brazil in 2018. He studies at Ohio State University, journalism student, and he's gonna talk with us about how is it to be a Black man in the US, and especially now with this movement of the Black Lives Matter, how he's feeling about it, and all the challenges a man faces in these situations. So it's very important for us, and this idea actually came with during this challenge we are going through now. This, let me see if Stefania is coming. Because we saw this was a very big movement in the US, and here in Brazil we heard about it. In Brazil we faced the same challenges, and we felt it was important to talk about diversity in a broader sense than we normally do, focused on. Okay, let me see now. Stefania again. Hopefully it will work now. Sorry everyone. Seems like it's gonna work. Just say something so we can see if we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good?
Yes. Okay. Fingers crossed that it will continue to work. Unfortunately, you are not a communication engineer, right?
No.
The only thing is that I hear my voice. It echoes on a little bit, but then I will leave you. I would like to speak more.
Okay.
So yeah, so tell us a bit more about how is it to be a Latin engineer in the US, Latina engineer in the US, like being in a class with so many men and professional wise as well. Like if you feel it's more challenging for you to look for opportunities.
So I will talk in the academic world because I haven't had that much experience in the industrial job. So can you hear me well? Yes. It was definitely a challenge for me to study engineering, just because of the fact of being a woman and not having many people to relate with. Also by the fact, as I mentioned, like having this misconception of Latin women being more body than brain, to not be able to do certain tasks, or not be able to, I don't know, just the misconception of not being able to do certain stuff. It was hard for me, not only with my classmates, but also with my staff and faculty. It is not hearing well.
I don't think it's working very well on Instagram. Perhaps we should just continue on YouTube instead, and then our guests on Instagram can watch us on YouTube, because I think YouTube is working better.
It's working better. Yeah, and YouTube is working, right? But it's not working well
Maybe
in
we can
Instagram.
just put here the link to our YouTube, and then we continue on YouTube.
To our
Let me see.
YouTube. Let me see.
I think it's better, perhaps. Let's continue, because then yeah, then we at least do it on YouTube.
Okay.
So Stefania, tell, you can continue, and then I texted there for people to go on YouTube.
Okay.
Or,
So to start again, because I don't know understood and what not. I face a lot of challenges, not a lot, but kind of like being a woman in engineering, especially because of the fact of not having a lot of classmates to relate with. There were only two women, like a ratio of 2 to 40. And also the misconception of being a woman and a Latin woman, like as we talked before, of being more body than brain, or not being able to do certain tasks. So, like whenever we were doing some type of projects or assignments in the class, I was always kind of pushed away, or like, I'm not open to work with you, better if I work with someone else. So that kind of challenges is the ones that I faced, as well as faculty and staff. I don't know why, but they push you to be like, oh, you need to work harder, you need to do this, so you can, so people can take you into consideration. When it should not be like that. We should not need to work harder. We should just need to work as much as we can and want to be successful, instead of just working harder to be taken into account. So yeah, that's a little bit of the challenge that I faced while in my undergrad.
yeah. I feel the same, being a female entrepreneur, and like, I'm not an engineer, but we deal with a lot of engineering companies and institutions, organizations, because we have to look for the internship positions for our students. And I remember, like, at the beginning of my career, I felt like I needed to be more serious, so people would respect me, and even if I was a woman, they wouldn't take any like the bad side of it. So I was always like very, very serious, and I wanted to I wanted to avoid any margin for misunderstandings. And I can see a difference, like when we have, for example, international guests, which are female and male, how receptive people are. I can really notice, like, if there is a man representing Texas Tech, for example, who comes to visit, or at the beginning of our cooperation, Montserrat came once. So I think being a man in a more male world, like engineering, opens doors. I have that feeling. But I also feel like a very empowered and grateful, because we are able to show how capable we are as women as well. But I feel that it must be like some it's necessary to have some effort from companies, from universities, to encourage women to join this profession. How do you feel about it?
About like
About,
what?
like, to have more women in this profession of being an engineer. Do you think it's a natural movement that it's going to happen as it is, or do you think it's necessary, like, for the institutions to do some efforts, as well as the companies, like, to raise awareness about, like, some incentives to have more women joining this career?
Yeah, I think it is important. I think it's being done, at least here in the US, that I can observe. Especially the university is doing a lot of outdoor reach activities where we go to high schools, middle schools, and we talk to the girls. We show them what is STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, STEAM careers, and introduce them to this world, show them that you are capable of doing it, show them the good aspect of becoming an engineer or mathematician or just being in the science field. That is like for, like, while growing up, the initiatives that are being taken while you're growing up to obtain more students. But the initiatives taken in the industry nowadays, now as a professional, I'm not very aware of those. I know there is some type of like percentage that the industry needs to have. Like, you need to have this percentage of women, this percentage of people from this race, and this percentage of whatever to have a diverse workplace. But I'm not 100% sure of what is being taken, which actions are being taken nowadays in the industry world.
Yeah, I think now we can see. I could see in the US, and there is a great friend of mine who is on Instagram with us, Raquel. She works in the Silicon Valley, and she was telling me about how the movement of Black Lives Matter has brought this discussion to the companies in Silicon Valley about inclusion, not only racial inclusion, but also women and LGBT. So I think it's a very, very important talk. And at this moment, we are living with coronavirus, we have the chance like to reflect and see what's the world we want to live in, and what can we do to build this new reality, right? So even our life has this idea, like, let's see what can we do as a company who works for global citizens do now. People cannot travel, but we can talk about it and share experiences and help people create empathy, right? So
yes,
I think companies are now looking with more attention to this topic and making more efforts. Thais is commenting
and
here that
also
connections is better.
realizing the benefits
on
that it brings to the
Facebook.
company.
On YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah. But go ahead, Stefania.
Did you hear me, Rafa?
Go ahead, Stefania.
Oh, I was going to add that the companies are also perceiving the benefits of being more diverse because of the different perspective that each of us can bring into the work field. So more and more,
for sure.
looking for this, yes.
Yeah, because like that's what we tell the companies as well when we approach them to encourage them to open positions for international interns. We tell them, so when you have an international intern, you have an opportunity to have someone from a different cultural background, a different reality, language. So there, each one of us as an individual, we have a different perspective of life, based on our family, the people we were surrounded by during our childhood, adolescence. So the things we faced, how we interpret things. So each one of us have different lenses to see the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? To take in account, and this can be like me and my sisters who were raised in the same family and just different ages, but we are completely different. Now imagine this if you are taking into account race or gender or the place where you grew up, your nationality, your cultural background. And when you have people from different realities in a team, of course they will have different ideas, because their reference is different and their view of the world is different as well, right? So innovation requires diverse backgrounds. That's what we tell the companies that we are going to invite them to open positions, and I know a lot of the companies see the benefits of it to have like multicultural teams or different genders. Have this dog here with his voice, Sunny.
And especially nowadays, like comparing with 10 years ago or 20 years ago, nowadays it is totally different. Like that is one of the things we are observing. It has changed completely. Like we live in another cultural awareness, in just like being open to diversity.
Yes. I think we are privileged. We are privileged now. If you think like that, women could not even vote some years
Mm-hmm.
ago. Like I don't know in the US when to vote, we are privileged because now we have choices. It's not like that in every country, but the two of us at least, right? And I guess many in our audience as well. Um, and so tell me a little bit more about your experience in Brazil when you came here. What were the differences, similarities you noticed between our culture and your culture, or the culture like Venezuelan, as well as American culture? You have those two experiences.
So yeah, I will talk about Brazilian, Venezuelan, and American culture or people in the U.S. So first, my experience in Brazil with Brazilian experience helped me to enhance my perceptions a lot more about my own culture and different cultures as well. For example, Brazilians, they like to do business with people instead of businesses, like here in the US, or the time, like the concept of time is very different. In Brazil, you can start meetings late and finishing late, and maybe have an agenda but not follow it 100%. While here in the US, time is very important. Like they need to follow from start to end and follow that agenda exactly as it is to be a successful meeting. What else is different? Like also the fact of how can I say? Well, the fact of the lunch, the lunch break that is
Uh-huh.
different for Brazilians and for Venezuelans. The lunch break, having a proper meal, sitting in a table, a proper food is very important. Well, here in the US, it's always on the go. A snack, a sandwich, something. And also the way of, maybe in Europe as well, the saying of work to live or live to work.
Yes.
Yes. So here is like they take work very seriously and less the personal time rather than like Brazilian, European, and Venezuelan culture. As we say before, with this Lewis model, it is the same concept of being job oriented or family people oriented. So it goes back all to the same concept. What else is similar in Venezuela and Brazil? Like the way of saying hello and goodbye. The way of greeting, like with a kiss and with a hug and being very touchy. I don't know. Also, the talkative traits, to say it like that. Like you can start a conversation in the supermarket line, in the elevator, at the beach, and just be friends just by that conversation. Over here is a little bit more self-centered. What else?
Yeah, a lot of the students comment. They comment that here in Brazil, like people are more social. Like they make friends at work, and they go for barbecues and go out for a beer. While in the US, normally people don't become friends with their workmates. How do you feel about it?
Or
Because of that same concept, like people here tend to have personal life separated from professional, which is a good aspect as well. Sometimes we mix up so much that we don't know the limits. But in Brazil, yeah, and in Venezuela, we tend to mix professional with personal. So we get a little bit more friendly and yeah.
Do you have a feeling? And do you have a feeling that now, after the coronavirus, and because now there is no like really borders between personal and professional life. Like, for example, I'm connecting from home, my dog is barking here. So it's very different from when we used to be at the office, now that we have to practice physical distancing. So what do you feel like in the US? I know you are not in an industry because you're doing your PhD, but do you can you feel already a change, a shift on how people relate on a professional level in the US? Like perhaps with the professors you are working on research, because I'm sure you had some calls with him online as well. So do you think it has changed a little bit?
In terms of personal traits.
Yeah, or if like it has become, because here in Brazil, I think things are becoming more informal, like in this way. Like people, you can connect. Like I'm feeling comfortable to be at home, and even though the connection is not perfect, my dog is barking, because I that's the reality. We're doing this to protect others. So I think if I was doing that in another moment, like when we used to be like at the office all the time, very professional, I would be much more uncomfortable with a situation like that. So I guess this moment of stay at home has encouraged us also to be more flexible and tolerant
to
okay,
it
doesn't
doesn't
need
need to
to be
be
perfect.
perfect
And
and
I think like these borders between personal and professional life now are more fluid.
Yes, and also to put in the step of the other, like this situation, not just like being like people working at home, but also the whole situation is putting people less into being self-centered to being a little bit more into community-centered, to think a little bit more about the other one, how is he feeling, or just a little bit more on that side as well.
Yes, no, this for sure, because we in this moment we saw how we are interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
All the different countries facing the same issue at the same time, almost. Some started earlier, but yeah, we are not separated. We need to think as a community. I love that opportunity. I think it's a big challenge. Like there are major consequences for health, like in terms of health issues as well as economy. But I think there is a gift of this opportunity we are having to experience a new way of doing things.
Right?
Yes.
Could you hear? Because it was frozen a little bit.
Could you hear? Because it was frozen a little bit.
I didn't hear you in a part, but I was able to follow the sequence. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. And as a female engineer, which advice would you like to give? Like, would you give for young women who are deciding about their careers and not necessarily engineering, but like taking in account all the background you have, like all the family who supported you in terms of education, and also to go for like to go and do like follow your dreams. Which advice would you give? Because I see, like, for example, you are very confident woman and very communicative, but there are other girls who haven't had the same experience or chances you had throughout your life. So which advice would you give to these women?
So, well, many advices, but I think the most important one is for them to know that we live in a world where a lot of bias exists nowadays, that people still needs to learn a lot of like cultural differences and the importance of diversity. So, like by knowing that, do not feel pushed down. Um, like just know there is there, but it's not a wall that is not allowing you to do stuff. Like just be confident on yourself, on what you can accomplish. I think nobody can tell you what you are capable of doing. That's a limit that you put yourself. So, like, regardless of work, regardless of what people say, what society says, your work and your ethic, like what you do, is gonna take you places regardless of whatever else. So those limitations, they are just word limitations. They are really don't exist. Show a good work ethic. If you're good with yourself, with your principles, you can accomplish anything.
I agree completely. I think the main limitation is our own.
Yes.
We demand so much from us. And I love a book that's called The Gifts of Imperfection. So maybe I can recommend that to our audience. If you haven't had a chance to read. It's from Brené Brown. The Gifts of Imperfection. Brené Brown, she's a researcher from Texas, actually from Houston, and she talks about vulnerability. So we really need to be vulnerable, allow ourselves to take risks, and always from this place that we know we are enough. Feeling confident in ourselves, and some people will criticize, some people will, like discourage you, but you need to go back to this place inside yourself that you think you are capable, that you think you can achieve your goals. So I guess the main limitation is inside ourselves. So perhaps the advice I would give is like, just believe in yourself, and when people tell you you can't, just go back inside and trust yourself, because that's what makes people succeed, not because they haven't heard no's or they were not challenged, but because they didn't give up, trying and trying, and that's what we need to do, right? Not give up.
Exactly. If you don't find root B or C, you go D, E, and F, and you have till the Z. You have a lot of routes to take. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for women, women as well, it's really beneficial to find good examples, like other women who they feel are like successful. And when I talk about success, I'm talking about what they want to achieve. It doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean like going to the top of a company. What's success for you, right? So you need to find someone as a reference, a woman that you admire, and have this and look for advice. And I think this is also very helpful. Like when we feel down, we need to look for those examples that have achieved what we desire. So we find energy into looking for things. And what's success for you, Stefania?
Success for me is achieving what you want. It's just being able to achieve what you want and make you happy. So just being able to live a life where you are also centered in your personal, your emotional, and your professional life, that you have those three corners in a interconnected, I think that's successful. When you're happy and you're happy doing what you like, and doesn't matter which level you are, or because successful is different for everybody, right? So
Yes.
just whatever makes you feel comfortable and you're happy doing it, you're being successful. I think so.
Yeah, you were talking about the differences between Brazilian culture, US, and Venezuela. And one aspect also that we consider, like when we talk about intercultural competence, is how life is oriented as well. Like if the life is oriented more towards status or a balance between personal and professional life. And this is something the students comment a lot as well about Brazil. I remember when we had the last World Cup, we had a big group of students from Texas Tech here, and they were surprised, like super surprised, because the companies, like big industries, they would stop during the games to watch Brazil play. And it was like, oh my God, in the US, we would never do that, stop to watch a game. And here in Brazil, there is this desire to find a great balance between personal and professional life. And of course, it's an individual orientation, but when you
Look at a country.
characteristics of Brazil, which in the US, like you said, like it's very like professional oriented. So yeah, I guess this is one, and there is no such a thing as right or wrong when we talk about cultures, right? It's just as you said, each
It's just
one.
Yeah, it's just the importance of being able to understand each other and just be able to communicate together and work together. Those soft skills that we were talking at the beginning,
Yeah.
important in nowadays because we live in a worldwide or like very connected world. Exactly, there's no boundaries. So the need of being able to communicate is having more importance these days. So, like,
Yes.
what you are doing is amazing to be able to bring students from other worlds, not only people from the US to experience Brazil, but also Brazilians to experience this other culture as well and to learn from it.
Yes. Yes, I think the core is really like to respect each
Mhm.
other's choices, and we love at Brazil experience nonviolent communication. For those who haven't heard about it, I highly recommend you to look for resources. There are books, videos about nonviolent communication. In Marshall Rosenberg, which is the person who structured nonviolent communication, he says that we have universal needs, but we might have different strategies for these
Universal
needs.
needs, but we have
So
different
that's what we
what
need to
we need to
understand.
understand.
Sometimes my need,
Like
I will
I
feel
will
my
do
need
my
of
of
connection
connection
by
by
talking with
talking
friends. Some people might want to fulfill their need of connection playing sports with others. Some
of
will want to
connection,
go to
playing
a bar,
sports
some will
with
want to go
others.
party.
Some we want to
And
go to
the
a bar,
need is the same, connection,
party.
connection
The need
with
is the
people.
same. Connection with
But
people.
just there are different
But
strategies.
there are just
And if
different
we understand
strategies.
that,
If
it's
we
easier to
understand
accept
that,
other
it's easier to
behaviors
accept
that
other
are different
behaviors
than
that are
ours,
different
right?
than ours, right?
Yeah, and to understand that it's important to live it. You cannot just read it or learn it. You need to have the experience to be really able to, yeah, like you say, live the differences, have that experience.
Yes. Leave the differences to co-create a better world. Thais is sending a
Yes.
message that we have 1 minute. It's so crazy how it goes by
So
so
crazy how
quickly.
it goes by so
Gosh.
quickly. Gosh.
Yeah.
I know. So we have
Yeah.
1 minute.
Stefania,
I apologize to the
I
audience
apologize
on
to the
Instagram about
audience
the connection
Yeah.
issues,
shoes,
but I always
but
like
I always like
presentation. Our
presentation.
intention was
Our
really to
intention was
share,
really to share,
to have one
to
of
have
our
one of
students
our
that we
students that
appreciate
we
a lot.
appreciate a lot.
And I want to
And I want
thank
to
you. Thank you so
thank you
much
so
for taking the time to join
much
us.
for joining us.
and sharing your experience. I think you are an example to follow. That's why I invited you to be part of this project.
Thank you, Rafa. I am really grateful that you invited me as well to this and that I participated. And thank you everybody for connecting as well.
Yes, thank you everyone. And then next week we have more lives on Tuesday and Friday, okay? I hope you can be part of it and that together we can co-create a better world to live in. Thank you. Thank you, Stefania. Beijos.
Bye, Rafaela. Thank you. Ciao,
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.